My salute to our Professor Dr. Jean F. Nebria, Mem, to my colleagues, my classmates, and friends, a pleasant afternoon to one and all. It is a great day to see you again, and thank you for coming here. This is Mr. Milsi Pedosa. You can just call me Sir Ramsey for sometimes if you don't mind. I'll be very glad to be called that way. An EDD2 student of BAISU. I am presently connected to President Carlos P. Garcia Memorial High School of Talibun 1 District, handling grade 9 mathematics. And today, I am here to provide you some exciting topics, information in relation to the two different types of employment, which will be very beneficial to us, most especially, if not all, mostly we are all in the field of teaching, so we can also give these things to our students. So today, we are here to know about the simple differences of the public and private sector workforce. First, we will try to look how it hits into your minds if there are some key concepts you already have within you before going deeper. So, um, before we are going to go deeper, let me guide you in my discussion with these words written in jumbled letters. I am preparing for you to rearrange in. Okay? Number one. Okay? So how are we going to rearrange the word? Alright. So that is government. Next, we have that one. Okay. So that is sector. Next, that one. Alright, so that is private. The next one. Of course, if we have private, we also have public. Next, if we have work, what we will have after working? So we have what we call as salary. Next, this one. Okay, this is time freedom. Next one. All right, very good. So we have job. And next one. All right, so that is welcome. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my report. Our subject is about school business or personnel management with our BISO Associate Professor 5, Dr. Jean F. Nebria, with my topic, public and private sector. The primary difference between public and private sector employment is that government employees in public sector positions focus on providing services to their community private sector jobs and are intended to produce a profit by selling products and services to people in the community. So, both types of jobs have their advantages and disadvantages. The choice of working for the government versus the private sector depends on what a person wants to get out of their career. And here's how these jobs differ. Benefits of government jobs versus corporate jobs. There are a variety of jobs across a range of industries to pursue. However, most jobs may fail in one of the two broad categories. Jobs in public sectors, jobs in private sectors. And in this article, we discuss what a federal job is and what a government job is, and the differences between the government and private sector jobs, and how to choose between government jobs versus the private jobs. Okay. So, for the federal jobs, again, for the federal jobs, is any related to the government. That federal jobs include specific types of jobs or any job working in the government office. People with these jobs may work within a branch of government or the military. supporting public services, or in the interest of civilians. Example of federal jobs may include police officers, we have accountants, database administrators, HR specialists, administrative assistants, social workers, computer programmers, engineers, okay? And for the private sector jobs, people who work jobs in the private sector work for any company, business, or organization that seeks to generate a profit, and that the government has no control over organizations in the private sector. And these organizations are critical to a functional economy. Private sector companies may be anything from a small local business to a large multinational corporation. Example of private sector jobs include those in non-government industries like hospitality, finance services, manufacturing companies, legal firms, retail companies, food services, private healthcare. Okay, so what are the main differences between government and private sector jobs? All right, so we have here, we start with the benefits. The benefits for public and private. For public, it provides comprehensive benefits than jobs in the private sector, but benefits vary for each company. So, these packages include excellent healthcare plans, good retirement plans, consistent raises. Another one, vacation time, sick leaves, and paid holidays. And that of the private sector, alternatively, people working in the private sector may not have similar benefits unless they work for large corporations. However, small businesses may still offer employees time off, paid holidays, and health care. And for the job security. For the public sector, government jobs often provide more job security than jobs in the private sector. So, the government will always exist. So, there will always be government jobs and a need for people who can do them. However, private companies may change. They may go out of businesses, close or merge with other companies, potentially eliminating or changing position. Okay? Next, we have salary. Salary for the public sector and for private sector. Salary vary for all jobs across the government and private sector. Okay? However, government jobs often pay less than in the private sector. So, meaning, government jobs often have slow growth rates, rarely provide merit increases, and only provide raises in standardized increments. And with that of the private sector, jobs in private sector often provide more opportunities for salary increases, such as annual raises or specially determined merit-based increases. Okay. Next, we have flexibility. For the public, both types of jobs may provide you with options to achieve a healthy work-life balance. However, individuals' jobs may vary in allowing for flexible work hours or telecommuting. For example, some government jobs may require you to work in an office, but there are others you may do from home. Okay. Next is job satisfaction. For the public, job satisfaction is subjective. Okay? Job satisfaction is subjective. So, for example, some may find job satisfaction from the security and benefits of working for the government. However, some people find satisfaction or job satisfaction from the possibilities and creative benefits of working in the private sector. Okay, next we have time off. Government jobs and private jobs typically both offer time off for employees. However, government job often offer more time off. So, meaning government job close for all government holidays, and they may also close for additional state and local government holidays. And that for the private, it is important to note government jobs pay employees when they close for holidays, but private jobs may not. Next, we have level of agency. Government jobs in private sector allow employees different levels of personal agency, while private sector jobs may allow you to accomplish tasks quickly without approval. The same may not apply to the government jobs. So, meaning, government jobs often involve lengthy and often complicated approval processes, which can make it difficult for you to get things done. So, government positions often complicated hierarchies, rules, and regulation, and these jobs often involve repetitive tasks. However, private jobs often include a variety of tasks and more opportunities to be creative. Next, we have retirement plans. The two sectors offer retirement plans but of different computations. They may vary on the length or terms of service to the job, and its processes may involve many requirements to accomplish. Right? So, next topic is how we're going to decide between government jobs versus private jobs. So, here are some steps to follow to help you decide between government job and private job. Number one, evaluate your needs. No? Evaluate your needs. We have to determine what kind of salary you need to be able to pay for your living expenses. And also, we have to consider if you need medical benefits from your job or if you may be able to get from them or them from somewhere else. So, you have to think what kind of work schedule you need, such as flexible um, flexible work hours or steady work-life balance. Next is you have to think about what you enjoy. Okay? So you have to consider the type of work you enjoy. If you like new challenges each day in a varied work week, you may prefer a job in private sector. So, if you prefer a predictable work schedule with repetitive tasks, you may prefer a government job. Next is you have to consider your career goals. You have to think about what you hope to achieve with your career. If you prefer to work the same job and are not interested in growth opportunities, a government job may be a good idea for you. So, however, if you want a variety in your career or possibly own your own business one day, a job in the private sector may be right for you. It is also important, no? It is also important to consider how long you expect or you want to work. For example, many government jobs offer good retirement investment packages, and these packages may make it easier for you to retire earlier and work fewer years than you would in the private sector. Right? So, we also have the pros and cons working in the government. Okay? The government workers enjoy a number of benefits as part of their work and consider these primary advantages to working in the public sector. For the retirement, most government jobs include an impressive pension or retirement package designed to ensure you receive a livable income similar to what you earned in your last years of service for the remainder of your life. So, as pensions and this type of employer sponsored retirement decrease in the private sector, this is one of the primary benefits of government work. Next, we have insurance. While employed in the public sector, you'll benefit from full health insurance coverage with potentially zero personal costs. So, depending on the branch of the government for which you work, you may qualify for continuing benefits for you and your immediate family after you retire, which is an enormous perk and can save you a substantial amount of money on healthcare costs, both during and after your government service. Next is for the stability. Government jobs are traditionally very stable. Once hired, in most cases, you'll enjoy substantial job safety and security from layoffs and unexpected downsizing. So, most people who work in the public sector enjoy long careers or choose when to leave their positions rather than facing the volatility of layoffs and turnover that can be common in the private sector. Next is the student loan repayment. Many local, state, and federal government employees are eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, so which eliminates your student loan balance after meeting a certain set of criteria. So meaning, this can be an enormous financial benefit, especially for those workers who earned their master's or doctoral degrees in the pursuit of a public service job. Next is fair pay. The government pay scale is highly transparent. Every employee receives a set salary or wage based on their years of service and education level. So, there are no salary negotiations and no concerns over hiring managers, biases impacting how much or how little a new government employee makes. Okay. So, next is work-life balance. Government work is often very consistent. That employees are expected to work hard on their tasks during their assigned hours, but there's very little overtime work for most roles, and the expectation is once you've clocked out, you should be spending time with your family or on personal pursuits and not working. Next is service-minded. For the most part, the people you work with will share a similar service-focused mindset. So, one of the reasons most government employees choose to work for the government rather than for private business is because they want to serve their community, which helps align personal and professional goals across the organization. Okay? So we have meaningful work. For the most part, the work you'll do as government employee supports maintaining the local, state, or national community. Many government workers enjoy participating in the career that not only effectively uses their education and skills but also contributes to the greater good. Next is travel. Some jobs, particularly those in the federal government, allow employees to move to new locations every few years if they choose. So, if you love to travel and live in a variety of places, this can be a huge benefit. Okay? Next is broad job range. At all levels of government, there is a broad range of job availability. Meaning of this, no matter what education, skills, or training you have, you can likely find a position that appropriately uses your qualifications and abilities. The government employs people with little to no formal education and people with postdoctoral degrees. Next, we have professional development. Once hired, no? Once hired, the government has an interest in keeping you within the organization. So, meaning most government employees have the option to engage in extensive and well-planned career development training to help them advance within the government. Okay? Of course, if we have the pros, we also have the cons. Cons for working in the government. While many people enjoy the benefits of working for the government, it is important to consider the few disadvantages that might not fit with your career desires before committing to the role. First, we have the lack of growth. The lack of growth. So, one potential downside to a government position is the lack of job growth for some specific occupations as compared to the private sector. So, based on the way the government is organized and the way labor is divided, some roles won't have the same opportunities as they might if they work for a private company. Lawyers, for example, don't have partner equivalent positions in the government as they do in the private sector. Okay? We also have for the limited compensation. So, similar to the job growth, earning potential is limited compared to the private sector for many government positions, particularly those that require extensive education and experience. So, since all government employees earn predetermined step-based salary or wages, there is no opportunity to negotiate or receive bonus compensation. Okay. For the bureaucracy, the government is highly regulated and procedure-driven organization. So as such, it can take much longer to achieve goals or affect change in some roles than it does in the private sector. The slow-moving bureaucracy of the government can impact some employees' job satisfaction. Another one is slow to change. Related to bureaucracy, making small and large organizational changes is often time-consuming. So, most ideas must go through several layers of conversation and assessment before you can begin the process of making that change, which can impact the efficacy of your work depending on your role in the government. Next is seniority over ability. The government is hierarchical organization. In some cases, Promotions and opportunities go to those who have served longest and not necessarily to those best equipped or qualified person for the role. So, we have to focus on seniority over capability. No? Focus on seniority over capability can frustrate new governmental employees unused to this type of hierarchical organization. Next is the hiring process. The hiring process of government jobs is often very lengthy. Most people apply for the government jobs through a single website. So from there, an initial group of hiring managers reviews all the applications and determines which are the best before sending the documents to the actual hiring agencies. Then, candidates can expect several rounds of interviews before finally receiving a job offer. Next is the political impact. Not every government role is impacted by the election cycle, but many are. So, positions that work closely with elected officials can expect to see continuous turnover in leadership as the public votes elected officials in and out of their roles. Constant changes in leadership can make competing long term projects more time consuming than working under a consistent manager or supervisors. So, for the pros and cons working in the private sector, private sector have their jobs, pros and cons. Impressive salary packages. We also have faster promotions and the opportunity to be on the cutting edge in your field of work are some advantages of private sector jobs. If you don't mind long hours of work, meeting challenging deadlines, or working in a competitive, fast-paced environment, then a job in the private sector may be right for you. It is important, though, to be well informed of both the advantages and disadvantages before making a career decision. Well, first, the salary factor. Salaries paid to the employees in the private sector are one of the major attractors of job seekers. Because as what I've said, there's greater salary in the private than of the public. We also have advancement opportunities. Jobs in the private sector provide more growth opportunities. Time taken for salary increment approvals and to reach the upper hierarchy is less in private sector jobs than in public sector. So, power to make decisions vests with the organization itself in the private sectors, unlike public sectors, where decisions need to be made in accordance with federal or state regulations. This could be a reason for several sector or private sector job benefit. Moreover, private sectors are more flexible in allowing employees to move to more interesting roles within the company. We also have the cutting edge projects. Private sector jobs, especially in the technology domain, offer opportunities for employees to be part of more innovative projects with cutting edge infrastructure. And since private sector businesses are more focused on generating profits, they are more open to business structures that facilitate this objective. And they have lesser bureaucratic protocols, which makes obtaining funding approval for new projects and corresponding infrastructure easier. Next is instability. A disadvantage of private sector jobs is the insecurity inherent to the sector. So, the failure to acquire project financing, company acquisitions, or low business performance can all act against an employee. Next is intense job competition and lesser job perks. Job associated perks outside salary are lesser in private sector jobs when compared to government jobs, despite impressive insurance and retirement plans offered by some private companies. So, in addition, competition is intense for private sector jobs, which puts job seekers with little formal education at a disadvantage in the private sector. Okay? So, job seekers have two main options when it comes to finding work: a state government job and a job with a private employer. So, when considering government jobs versus private jobs, it helps to take a number of variables into consideration, from practical factors like salary to other more indirect factors. Understanding the main pros and cons of state jobs compared with private jobs helps you to evaluate which is the right choice for you. And some people decide to spend time working in one sector before transitioning to another. So, state jobs can be defined as working in the public sector, with the government acting as your employer. And state jobs are sometimes referred to as public service and can include jobs such as teacher, police officers, firefighters, postal workers, or an administrative assistant in a particular government department. And private jobs can be defined as working in the private sector with a non-government employer. Example include working in retail, restaurants, banking, and numerous other private enterprises. While plenty of private sector jobs offer attractive benefit packages to employees, it is widely agreed that state jobs feature handsome benefits to workers, including health insurance and retirement savings, incentives, including benefits extended to family members. So, benefits packages may be scheduled for regular increases over time. So, state jobs tends to have lower quit rates, according to the Reason Foundation, perhaps indicating higher satisfaction with salary and benefits. And for the job security, private jobs carry the risk for greater volatility. In many states, you may legally be dismissed without any particular reason given. Jobs in the private sector may offer bountiful opportunities for the entry-level employment, but stiff competition for promotions. State jobs carry greater job security in that the government must provide through outlined steps before dismissing employees, making it harder to shed workers. So, employees working for the government may opt to change jobs within their department but remain under the state umbrella, offering room for growth while enjoying the stability for the same or of the same overall employer. And other considerations. Some people enjoy the flexibility of private jobs, where it may be relatively easy to move from one position to another with higher pay, responsibility, and benefits. Pay increases can be approved more easily in the private sector, while state jobs tend to stick with regulated pay schedules according to experience level and longevity. So, in some cases, workers in the state jobs may feel that they're contributing to the common good by working toward specific or general goals in education, public health, defense, or other areas. So, okay, so we have here the theories on public and private sector. Um, Moving beyond the basic requirements for organized economic activity, there are other situations where interventions in the economy can potentially increase welfare. Unlike the minimal provision and revenue requirement, however, there will always be a degree of contentiousness about additional intervention, whatever the grounds on which it is motivated. The situations where interventions may be warranted can be divided into two categories: those that involve market failure and those that do not. So, when market failure is present, the argument for considering whether intervention would be beneficial is compelling. For example, if economic activity generated internalities so that there is divergence between private and social valuations and the competitive outcome is not efficient, it may be felt necessary for the state to intervene to limit the inefficiency that results. This latter point can also be extended to other cases of market failure, such as those connected to the existence of public goods and of imperfect competition. So, reaching to such market failures is intervention motivated on efficiency grounds. It must be stressed that this reasoning does not imply that intervention will always be beneficial in every case. It must be demonstrated that the public sector actually has the ability to improve on what the unregulated economy can achieve. So, in what ways working in a public organization is different from working in the private sector? The primary difference between public jobs and private employment is that a government employees in public sector positions focus on providing services to their community. And that of the private sectors or private sector jobs are intended to produce a profit by selling products and services to people in the community. Okay? Okay, so and that would be all. Thank you and good morning, everyone.